The clank of metal against metal rings in their ears as the steel doors slam shut. The sharp, jarring sound reverberates through their bodies, the cold steel of the train beneath their feet suddenly feeling much more real. The POWs stand in tight, uncomfortable rows, their bodies pressed against one another. The smell of sweat and the sour tang of fear fills the cramped, swaying compartment. They have been packed onto these trains like cattle, herded across an ocean and now bound for an unknown destination in a country that is supposed to be their enemy. There is no time for hesitation now. The journey begins. The train lurches forward, and the men brace themselves against the motion, the roughness of the ride taking them off balance. Outside, the vast, alien landscape of America stretches before them, long, flat stretches of land they've never seen before. The wide plains roll past, dotted with farmhouses, barns, and fields of crops stretching endlessly toward the horizon. It's a country they know only through maps and stories, an enemy they've been taught to fear and despise. But now, faced with the vastness of it all, they feel a chill run through them. They are not in the mountains of Japan or the dense jungles of Southeast Asia. This is something else entirely. They are in the belly of a massive, unfamiliar machine, and they don't know how to react. Imagine being thrust into an unknown world, a place that challenges everything you've been taught to believe. If that thought strikes you, subscribe to see how their journey unfolds. What they see will surprise you. The train rolls relentlessly on. The windows are too high to see through clearly, but every so often, they catch glimpses of the American landscape, forests, rivers, cities. It's all so different, so vast. They have only ever seen pictures of this place, never this. There is no comforting mountain range, no rice paddies or narrow streets to anchor them in the familiar. Here, the land stretches flat and endless in all directions. The occasional curve of the tracks pulls them from the monotonous flow of the plains, revealing something new, small towns dotting the landscape, strange buildings made of brick, roads that seem to go on forever, and the occasional passing freight train. But it's not the land that catches their attention most. It's the sheer power of the railroads. The tracks seem to stretch for miles, carrying the trains faster and farther than they could ever have imagined. The rhythmic hum of the engine becomes almost hypnotic, lulling them into an uncomfortable stupor. How is it possible, they wonder, for this machine to move so smoothly, with such certainty? The sheer scale of the operation confounds them. Back in their homeland, trains were slow, creaky things, often stopping for hours while the engineers fixed broken tracks or managed delays. But this? This is something different. These trains are built for speed, built for power. They cut through the landscape like knives, slicing through the land with ease. Can you even fathom the scale of something like this? If you're as taken aback by it as they are, hit subscribe to continue exploring what these men encounter next. The men sit in silence, some staring out the windows at the land that rolls by. Others are too weary to care, their bodies exhausted from the journey across the Pacific and now the interminable ride through a country they never thought they'd see. The walls of the compartment are tight and closed, the air heavy with the scent of sweat and the unease of the unknown. They are bound for who knows where, and in their hearts, the realization dawns, they have no idea what to expect. The stories of their capture, the rumors, the propaganda, they all seem distant now, shattered by the reality of what's happening around them. But even as the land stretches endlessly around them, there is one thing they can't ignore: the trains. These machines that thunder down the tracks are unlike anything they've ever seen. Massive locomotives, some of them pulling dozens of freight cars, others speeding along with sleek passenger cars. The power of these trains, their speed, and their sheer size, fills them with an unease that is difficult to explain. They had been taught that America was a place of excess, of greed, but the scale of the railroads they see defies explanation. They are overwhelmed by the enormity of it all. The vast infrastructure, the speed with which these trains travel, it all feels alien. To them, this is a symbol of something they can't quite understand. Imagine the overwhelming shock of realizing that everything you thought you knew is just a fraction of reality. If that thought stays with you, leave a comment and share your perspective. Don't forget to subscribe, because the next part of their journey will open your eyes even more. As the hours drag on, some of the men grow restless. They try to speak, but the language barrier is still too much. They are cut off from everything familiar: home, language, culture. They feel like strangers in this new land, completely removed from their past lives. Some of them try to sleep, their bodies finally giving way to exhaustion, while others remain awake, staring out at the passing scenery, their minds spinning with questions they don't have the answers to. And then, the sound of the train changes. It slows, the engine's deep rumble becoming a low whine as they approach a station. The men are alert, their senses on edge. They have arrived in a place they don't recognize. The train rolls to a stop, the brakes screeching loudly in the quiet of the night. Outside, the station looms, another new and confusing aspect of the country they've been thrust into. They peer out the windows, but it's too dark to see much. All they know is that the journey is far from over. And the more they travel, the more they realize. This is America, a land defined by railroads they cannot begin to understand. They're on a journey to a place unlike anything they've ever imagined. Want to see where it leads? Hit subscribe and stay with us, because their journey through America is just beginning. The train lurches forward again, and the men feel the weight of it, literally, the weight of this vast system moving forward, pushing them further into a land they cannot comprehend. They have seen power in many forms: military might, political control, even the strength of nature. But this is different. This is infrastructure on a scale they cannot grasp. Trains that stretch across entire regions, freight cars filled with goods, passenger cars packed with people, moving with a precision and speed that seems almost magical. It's a machine they've never seen before, and they feel small before it. And as they continue to roll down the tracks, each turn, each twist in the journey reminds them that they are not in control. They are passengers, bound for a destination they can't even begin to imagine. And all they can do is watch as America's massive railroads carry them deeper into the heart of a country they thought they knew, but now, nothing feels certain anymore. The train slows, its wheels grinding against the track with a deep, metal groan. Through the windows, the men catch their first glimpse of the true scale of the American railroad system. It's not just one or two trains they see, it's a constant stream. Massive locomotives, stretching far into the horizon, glide smoothly across the rails like the earth beneath them is nothing more than a simple stage. Every few minutes, they pass another freight train, loaded with car after car, stacked high with goods. The sheer volume of movement, of things shifting across this land, is overwhelming. As they travel, the men's eyes never stray far from the tracks. The train they're on is nothing compared to what they're seeing. What they had assumed were simple tracks for war transport are now revealed as something far more expansive, far more intricate. The network stretches from coast to coast, seemingly endless in all directions. They've passed countless towns already, small ones that appear and disappear with startling speed. But it's the trains they remember, the endless trains, stretching out beyond sight. Stop for a moment. Imagine how the sheer scale of something like this can change the way you see the world. If this blows your mind, hit subscribe to follow the unfolding story of discovery. The men sit in silence, mouths agape, as the scale of the system becomes clear. These aren't just trains, these are lifelines. Each one a cog in a larger machine that powers a nation they've never truly understood. Freight cars filled with goods, grain, timber, steel, pass by them, the rumble of their weight reverberating through the ground. These trains are not just tools of transport, they are symbols of something greater. They are arteries in the body of a nation. America's very lifeblood is carried in these massive machines, moving across the land with a rhythm they can't quite comprehend. Outside the train, the landscape shifts again. The long flatlands have given way to the jagged edges of industrial cities, their factories standing tall against the sky like silent giants. It's here, in the sprawling urban centers, where the full impact of the railroads is felt. The men see what they could never have imagined before, a world built on the back of these machines, a world where everything moves with a purpose they've never known. As the train slides past a station, the men can't help but stare. The stations are massive. Platforms stretch for hundreds of yards, lined with steel beams and brick buildings, each one marked with signs they can't read, announcing names of towns they've never heard of. There is no chaos here, no frantic scrambling for tickets, no confusion. Everything is organized, precise. The trains come and go on time, without the delays and disarray they were used to in their own homeland. Even the air seems different, filled with the hum of efficiency. The quiet swish of the trains as they glide through stations is the only sound that matters. One of the POWs, a man whose face has hardened from years of war, turns his head toward his companions. They all stare out the windows, their eyes wide, the enormity of it all beginning to sink in. In their country, they had only ever heard rumors of the American machine, the vast industrial complex that powered the enemy. But they had never seen it. They had never known how true the stories were. Pause for a moment. If you think it's hard to comprehend something this large, you're not alone. Hit subscribe to continue seeing the shock and awe these men feel as their journey unfolds. They pass more stations, more freight cars, more tracks than any of them thought possible. The trains don't stop, they continue to flow like a river of steel, carrying everything from food to machinery, from coal to cars. The POWs wonder how many trains are out there, how many miles of track stretch across this country. They have no frame of reference for what they're seeing. This is a scale they have never been taught to understand. At some point, as the trains speed on, the men begin to talk, softly at first, then louder as they realize the full magnitude of what they are witnessing. It's a conversation that is half disbelief, half awe. How could a country build something so large, so organized? How could it all move together, so seamlessly? Back home, even the most basic systems seemed prone to collapse. There were always delays, always breakdowns. But this? This was something else entirely. There is a quiet hum of conversation as the realization settles in. The trains are not just part of America's infrastructure, they are the infrastructure. Without them, the country would stop moving. The trains are a direct link between the cities, the factories, the farms. They are the veins that run through the country, carrying everything that matters. But it's not just the sheer scale of the railroad system that astonishes them, it's the precision with which it operates. The trains move with military-like discipline, each one arriving exactly on time, each one moving across the landscape with purpose. It's as though the entire country is aligned in this singular mission, to move, to transport, to survive. The POWs feel like small figures in the face of something so immense, so finely tuned. They had been taught to see America as a country divided, chaotic, and disconnected. But the trains speak a different truth. They are the arteries of a nation that operates with the efficiency of a machine. Stop and think, what does it say about a country when its entire foundation is built on something as powerful as this? Drop a comment and let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe for more insights into their unfolding journey. The landscape outside the train changes again, and with it, their understanding of what they are seeing. The train snakes its way through long tunnels carved through mountains, passing cities lit by bright, artificial lights. For a moment, everything feels surreal. The scale of the operation, of the country, feels like it might swallow them whole. How could such an immense force be contained in one place? How had they never known? And yet, here they are, standing in the middle of it, mere passengers in this massive system. The trains are carrying them toward a future they cannot yet see, but the tracks beneath them are sure. They have no choice but to follow, to watch as the country they once hated unfolds before them, layer by layer. The rhythm of the train's journey lulls them into a quiet reflection. The same hum that once felt uncomfortable now feels like the pulse of something alive. The motion, the precision, the steady flow of freight and passengers, it's the beat of a country that seems to run on nothing but trains. They can't help but marvel at how this one thing, these simple tracks and cars, can hold so much power. The thought lingers, a quiet realization, they are watching something that cannot be undone. The train rumbles along, the steady beat of its wheels on the track a constant undercurrent to the world unfolding outside. The men have grown used to the long stretches of open fields and vast plains. The initial shock of the endless trains has given way to a new discovery, something more subtle, yet just as overwhelming. The land. The landscape stretches out before them, wide and endless, with horizons that seem to go on forever. The further they travel, the more they are struck by the sheer size of it. The fields, the forests, the mountains, all of it feels immense, uncontainable. It's a beauty they had never imagined, certainly not in a country they had been taught to hate. The plains roll on, undisturbed by the march of time, stretching into the distance as if they belonged to no one and everyone at once. As they pass over rivers and through tunnels, the changing scenery outside the windows feels like a living thing. The sky, a deep blue canvas, is dotted with streaks of white clouds, the sunlight casting long shadows across the land. Trees line the edges of the tracks, some already beginning to turn with the seasons, their leaves turning red and gold. The mountains rise in the distance, tall and jagged, as if guarding the land with silent vigilance. The beauty of it all is overwhelming. Think about how it would feel to see something so vast, so untouched. If this chapter resonates with you, hit subscribe to see what happens next as the POWs experience America through their own eyes. The men sit in silence, their eyes following the train's path across the land. There's a strange quiet in the compartment, a momentary stillness that allows them to absorb everything they're seeing. They have traveled through jungles and fields of war, through the decimation of their own country, but this is different. This is a world untouched by war, untouched by the chaos they have known. It's peaceful, serene, and they wonder how it all fits together. How does a country so vast, so untamed, exist in a world of machines, steel, and industry? The landscape outside the windows seems to contradict everything they've been told. They had been taught that America was a land of corruption, a place driven by greed and excess. But here, as the train snakes its way through this vast land, they see something else. There is no constant noise, no chaos. There is a quiet rhythm to the country, as if it operates at its own pace, undisturbed by the conflicts of the world. The train stops briefly at a small station, and the men take their first steps outside since the long journey began. They stretch their legs, feeling the unfamiliar solid ground beneath them. As they stand in line, waiting to board the train once more, they are struck by the simplicity of it all. The air smells fresh, clean, untouched. The station is small, almost quaint, with only a few buildings and a cluster of people milling about. In the distance, they can see the peaks of mountains rising above the horizon, their jagged outlines painted in the early light. For the first time since their capture, they feel a strange sense of peace, like they're standing on the edge of something they can't quite describe. Imagine stepping into a new world like this, untouched, serene, and completely different from what you expected. If this scene stirs something in you, drop a comment and let us know. And don't forget to subscribe to continue following their journey. The train continues on its path, moving through small towns, across rivers, and past endless stretches of farmland. The men are silent, each lost in their thoughts. They have never seen land like this before, land that stretches without end, where people live so far apart, yet still seem connected by the railroads that slice through the country. They have never seen anything so vast, so untamed. The world outside the window feels like a dream, a place they can't quite believe exists. And then, they see it, a sprawling city on the horizon, its skyline cutting through the clouds. The steel towers rise high above the land, their sharp outlines an almost unnatural contrast to the natural beauty of the surrounding landscape. The city is alive with movement, the hustle and bustle of a nation that runs on machines and metal. But even in the shadow of these towering structures, the land still seems to breathe, to flow, untouched by the machines that power the country. It's a strange, uncomfortable balance between nature and industry. The train enters the city, and the men peer out through the windows at the tall buildings, the crowded streets, and the constant movement of people. It's hard to reconcile this with the images they had been taught. America, in their minds, was a land of excess, a place where greed ruled, where technology had replaced humanity. But here, in the face of the city's towering presence, they see something different. They see a country that has mastered the balance between progress and preservation. The city is vast, but it is built on the same soil that stretches for miles outside the train. The trains, the buildings, the machines, they are all a part of this strange, beautiful country, and the men are left wondering how it all works, how it all fits together. The more they see, the more they question everything. What does this country truly represent? If you're intrigued by how the POWs views of America are changing, hit subscribe now and keep following their journey. The train slows as they approach another station, this time in the heart of the city. The tracks are lined with workers, their faces tired but determined. The hustle of the city pulses in the air, a sharp contrast to the quiet beauty of the countryside they passed through earlier. The men feel small in the face of it all. This is America, a country powered by a railroad system that stretches endlessly, connecting cities, towns, and people. The system moves with a purpose, and they are just passengers, caught in the gears of a machine that seems both foreign and mesmerizing. The landscape continues to shift outside the train, the city fading into the distance as the train moves on. The men return to their seats, the hum of the train once again filling the silence. The beauty of the land, the power of the machines, the towering cities, all of it swirls in their minds, leaving them to wonder, how could a country so vast, so powerful, exist in such a way? How could they have been taught to see it as the enemy? In this moment, they realize that they are witnessing something far greater than they could have ever imagined. It's not just the size of the land, the trains, or the cities, it's the realization that America is more than just a place. It is a living, breathing entity, connected by a web of steel and industry that binds it all together. And they are no longer outside of it. They are part of it, moving along with the country's vast network, helpless to stop the journey. The train lurches forward again, its wheels screeching against the track as it picks up speed. The men sit in silence, the steady rhythm of the train humming beneath them, vibrating through their bodies like a pulse. Outside the windows, the American landscape changes once more. This time, it isn't just the vast beauty of nature that catches their eyes, it's something else. The infrastructure. The network of railroads stretching endlessly into the horizon, connecting cities, towns, and factories in a seamless, rhythmic pattern. What had once been a vague concept, the vast power of the American railway system, begins to take shape. The more the men travel, the more they realize just how intricate, just how finely tuned the system is. It's not just the tracks that amaze them, it's the entire operation. The stations, the trains, the schedules, they are all part of a system that runs with a precision they've never seen before. Every train, every stop, every inch of track is part of something larger, something far beyond their comprehension. The scale of it is unimaginable. They see it in the way the trains glide effortlessly between cities, the way they pass through stations without missing a beat. The men observe the workers who stand by the tracks, their movements calculated, their attention to detail unmatched. There is no wasted motion. The trains are not just transportation, they are a system that connects the entire country, a network that never stops. For the first time, they begin to see America not just as a land of vastness and beauty, but as a place where everything moves with purpose. The precision of the railroads is staggering. In their own country, transportation had always been plagued by inefficiency, by delays, by the constant struggle to keep everything moving. But here, everything is synchronized, coordinated. It's as if the entire country runs on the same clock, ticking in unison, each piece working in harmony with the next. The men sit in stunned silence as they watch the trains move, the sheer scale of it all washing over them. These aren't just trains, they are the veins of a nation. The power of the locomotives, the seamless flow of freight cars, the smooth transitions between stops, each element of the system is a testament to the industrial might of America. This is not just a country built on machines. It is a country built on an intricate web of connections, where everything is linked by these massive iron rails. The realization settles slowly in their minds, like a seed planted deep in the soil. It's not just the trains. It's the entire system, the planning, the precision, the control, that leaves them in awe. They've been taught that America was a land of chaos, a place where greed and excess ruled, but what they see now is something far different. This is a country that has mastered the art of control, of organization, of movement. The rails are the backbone of this system, the threads that tie everything together. Without them, the country would grind to a halt. The men now understand, this is how America works. This is the machine that powers the nation. Pause here, think about how it would feel to see a country function so smoothly, so effortlessly. If this realization changes the way you think about America, hit subscribe to see what happens next in their journey. For the first time since their capture, the men feel a strange sense of discomfort. They are still prisoners, still under the watchful eyes of their captors, but this system, this immense infrastructure, makes them feel small. The scale of it all is overwhelming. They've seen war, they've seen destruction, they've witnessed the chaos that comes when a country collapses under the weight of its own failures. But here, in America, they see something that works. Something that is not broken. And in that realization, they feel something they hadn't expected, awe. It's hard to grasp, hard to comprehend. They watch as the train glides through another station, another city, another expanse of land. The workers move with precision, signaling the trains, loading and unloading cargo, managing the flow of goods and people. There is no wasted time, no wasted energy. The train moves forward, constantly, relentlessly, as if the entire country is propelling it along. The men sit in stunned silence, overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of what they are witnessing. The trains are not just tools of war, they realize. They are the lifeblood of this country. The railroads are the veins that carry the blood of industry, of commerce, of life itself. And for the first time, they begin to see America not just as the enemy, but as something else, a nation that has mastered the art of organization, of coordination, of making things work. They had been taught that America was a place of excess, of greed. But what they see now is something else entirely. This is a nation of purpose, a place where everything has a role to play, and every piece of the machine works together seamlessly. As they pass through city after city, the men begin to see the depth of what they are witnessing. The railroads are not just the backbone of the country, they are its very soul. Without them, nothing works. The cities would crumble, the factories would stop, and the entire nation would grind to a halt. The men begin to understand that the railroads are not just a tool of transportation. They are a symbol of America's power, its control, and its ingenuity. What does it mean when a country runs like this? When everything is in sync, when every piece of the puzzle fits together perfectly? If this idea blows your mind, leave a comment below and let us know. And subscribe for more surprising insights into this journey. As they continue their journey, the men start to reflect on what they've seen. The trains, the stations, the endless miles of track, it's all starting to sink in. They are no longer just passengers. They are witnesses to something greater. They are seeing America in a way they never expected. And the more they see, the more they realize that everything they've been taught about this country is incomplete. They pass through vast industrial complexes, where smoke rises from the factories, filling the sky with a haze of activity. The machines churn day and night, sending goods across the country in a seamless flow. The men can't help but marvel at the sheer scale of it. These factories are not just buildings, they are the engines of the country, driving it forward. And the trains, these massive locomotives, are the arteries that keep everything moving. The realization grows in their minds: America is not just a land of machines. It is a land of purpose, a land that has mastered the art of efficiency and coordination. The trains are not just part of the system, they are the system. And the more they watch, the more they understand: this is the future. This is the way the world works. The landscape shifts once again, but this time, the men are not only aware of the vastness of the land, they are increasingly aware of how everything is interconnected, how it moves with a purpose. The trains they see now are more than just machines of transport. They are a representation of something bigger. The scale of the railroad system, the sheer amount of movement, begins to settle in their minds, like the weight of a truth they cannot escape. As the train moves forward, the men's eyes are fixed on the tracks. The tracks themselves are like veins, running through the country, tying cities, towns, and industries together. The men see it clearly now: the entire country, pulsing with life, moving as one. The trains are no longer just tools of war or transport, they are the lifeblood of America. The machinery that keeps the country going. The trains they have seen up to this point have been large, heavy, and imposing, but now, in the heart of the country's industrial heartland, the full power of America's railroads is revealed to them. They pass through factories, vast complexes of brick and steel, where trains deliver raw materials and carry finished goods. The smoke rises from these factories, thick and dark, like the pulse of a nation that never stops. The men can feel it in their bones. This is America's power, raw, unyielding, and relentless. The country moves because the trains move. Pause here. Can you imagine what it's like to see a country built on this kind of machine-driven might? If this revelation strikes you, hit subscribe to keep following their journey through this industrial landscape. The men, once confused by the scale of the trains, now begin to understand the significance of what they are seeing. The trains are not just physical objects, they are symbols. Symbols of America's strength, its reach, and its undeniable ability to organize, to function at a level of efficiency that seems impossible. The trains, the factories, the entire industrial network, all of it works together, flowing like a river that can never be stopped. It's a machine, a system, and it's powered by the railroads. Some of the men are silent, their faces drawn, as the weight of it all sinks in. They had been taught to view America as a nation of excess, of greed. They had been fed the idea that America's power was based on exploitation, on military dominance, and industrial ambition. But here, in front of them, the power of America's industrial system is undeniable. The trains are the backbone of this power. The way they run, the way they move with such precision and purpose, is a testament to what America has built. They pass another station, and this time, they see the sheer number of trains waiting to depart, loaded with cargo. The trains do not stop, they are constantly moving, constantly shuttling goods across the country, fueling the vast machinery that keeps America alive. The factories churn with activity, the smoke rising like a banner of industry. The men begin to feel a deep sense of unease. They had thought of this country as something monstrous, something to fear. But now, they see something different. They see the strength of a country that can move, that can build, that can grow faster than anything they had ever known. What does it mean to realize that the power of a country is not in its weapons, but in its machines, in its ability to move, to create, to organize? If this thought is changing how you see things, subscribe to continue exploring their emotional journey across this vast land. The trains are not just vehicles, they are symbols of American unity. Every car, every rail, every station is a cog in a much larger machine, a machine that has made this country what it is. As they sit in the train, moving from station to station, the men begin to realize that America is not a nation of chaos. It is not a nation defined by individual greed, by uncontrolled power. It is a nation built on the idea of organization, of precision, of function. The trains pass through yet another industrial complex, this one even larger than the last. The men stare out the window at the enormous factory, its chimneys spewing clouds of smoke into the sky. It's not just a building, it's a testament to American might. And it's only one part of a much larger network. The men are no longer looking at the trains simply as machines. They are looking at them as representations of something greater, something far more powerful. They see the trains not as tools of war, but as the very thing that propels this country forward. The realization is sobering. These trains are more than just transport systems. They are the embodiment of American industrial power, and they carry with them the weight of a nation's progress. The men had once believed that their country's power was based on its military strength, its ability to dominate. But here, in the face of this immense railroad network, they begin to see a different truth. America's strength is not just in its army, it is in its ability to organize, to build, to move. Pause and think about this. What does it say about a nation when its power lies not in weapons, but in its systems? If you're seeing America in a new light, comment below and share your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe to stay with us as this journey unfolds. As the train rolls on, they pass even more factories, more stations, more freight cars loaded with goods. The trains stretch on as far as the eye can see, a seemingly endless stream of metal and power. The men are silent now, absorbed in the enormity of it all. The train moves forward, each click of the wheels on the track a reminder of the unstoppable machine that is America. They realize that they are no longer just passengers on this train, they are part of the system. The very thing they once feared, the very thing they had been taught to hate, has become their reality. They are moving through America's vast network, and they are powerless to stop it. The trains are the pulse of the nation. And as they move through this country, they realize that the power of America is not just in its military might, it is in its ability to build, to create, to connect. The trains, once a symbol of the enemy's power, now become a symbol of something else, the strength of a nation that cannot be defeated. The men, once so certain of their own superiority, now sit in silence, overwhelmed by the scale of what they are seeing. The trains are a reminder that America's power lies not in its weapons, but in its machines, in its ability to move, to organize, to survive. And as the train picks up speed again, carrying them further into this vast country, the men realize that their journey has just begun. The train slows to a halt once more, and for the first time since they've been on the move, the men don't rush to look out the windows. They have become accustomed to the passing landscape, to the hum of the train, and to the silent beauty of the American countryside. But today feels different. The rumble of the wheels, the deep vibrations beneath their feet, no longer bring the same sense of awe. The landscape outside remains vast, unending, but the men are not seeing it as they once did. They have crossed into a new phase of their journey, one of quiet contemplation. For the first time, they look beyond the railroads, beyond the machinery and the factories. What they once saw as the enemy, as the force that sought to crush them, now seems something more complicated. The trains, the vastness of the country, the organization, they've all shifted their perception. They are no longer just passengers, moved from place to place like cattle. They are witnesses to something more profound, something they cannot ignore. Think about that. What happens when your perception of your enemy shifts before your eyes? If this is starting to change how you see things, hit subscribe to keep following their journey. They are sitting in silence now, some lost in thought, others simply staring ahead, unable to put words to the shift they feel. The trains have become a metaphor for something bigger, the force of a country that cannot be ignored. The scale, the precision, the power of it all, it's no longer just the trains that amaze them. It's the realization of what these trains represent. They are not just a symbol of America's military might, of the enemy they've been taught to fear. They are a symbol of the country's willpower, of its ability to organize, to function, to endure. As the train picks up speed again, the men feel the weight of that realization. The power of the railroads is not just in their physical size or strength, it's in their relentless movement, their constant forward momentum. The trains never stop. They are always moving, always pushing forward, always carrying the country towards something greater. And in that movement, the men begin to see America not as the enemy, but as a force of nature. The country they had once viewed with hatred and suspicion is no longer just a place of war. It is a place of resilience. The trains move with a purpose. They are not haphazard, not driven by emotion or impulse. They are built to carry the weight of the nation, to connect its people, to unite its industries, to keep it moving forward, no matter what. The POWs are no longer just spectators. They are part of the system, moving through it, seeing it in all its complexity and power. What if everything you thought you knew about your enemy was only a fraction of the truth? If this realization is making you think deeper, comment below to share your perspective. And don't forget to subscribe to see how the rest of their journey unfolds. For the first time, the men are not just looking at the trains, they are looking at America. They are looking at the country's power, not in the form of military strength or propaganda, but in the form of its industry, its railroads, its ability to function. It's a power that is built on cooperation, on organization, on purpose. The realization is unsettling. They had expected to find a country broken by war, a country weakened by greed. But what they find instead is a country that has mastered the art of survival. A country that moves as one, that is built on a system that never stops. As they reflect on the scale of the railroad system, the men begin to understand something they had never truly grasped before. The power of America does not lie in the size of its military, or its weapons, or even in its wealth. It lies in its ability to move. The trains, the tracks, the endless network, these are the foundation of America's strength. They are the veins that run through the country, carrying the lifeblood of industry, commerce, and life itself. Without the railroads, the country would be nothing. But with them, it moves. It grows. It endures. The POWs are no longer just passive observers of this country. They are active participants in its system. They are moving through it, carried by its trains, witnessing its power firsthand. They have been taught that America was a land of excess, of corruption, of exploitation. But now, they see something else. They see a country that has built something lasting, something that can endure the tests of time. The trains are not just a means of transport, they are a symbol of something greater. They are a symbol of resilience, of a nation that has learned to adapt, to survive, to thrive. How does a country like this survive, even after everything it's been through? If this question is on your mind, drop a comment below and let us know. And don't forget to subscribe for more insights into this journey. As the train moves onward, the men realize that they have witnessed something transformative. They had come to America with the belief that it was their enemy, a country built on excess and greed. But now, they see it as something else, a country that is defined by its ability to endure, to move forward, to rebuild. They understand now that the power of America lies not in its military or its wealth, but in its ability to create, to organize, and to survive. The trains, the tracks, the stations, they are all part of a much larger system, a system that can never be stopped. The men had thought they were just passing through this country, observing it from the outside. But now, they realize they are part of it. They are part of a system that moves forward, that cannot be stopped, no matter what. And in that realization, they begin to see the country in a new light. Not as an enemy, but as a force. A force they can never fully understand, but one that they cannot deny. The train continues to move, carrying them deeper into this new world, a world that no longer feels quite so foreign. And as they sit in their seats, lost in thought, they realize that they will never be the same again. The journey they've taken has not only changed their view of America, it has changed their view of the world. They have seen the power of a country that cannot be broken, and in that power, they find something they never expected: respect.